Shadow Skuntank fires off the crunch, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent gets a very nice Incinerate farm down, back out, comes Annihilate. We throw 2 counters and the Night Slash. Night Slash will be secure in the knockout. Show me something we can nuke. Ask and you shall receive. Annihilate reaches the Shadow Ball, but is Shadow Ball enough to knock out? Well, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. So welcome back to the channel. Today we are back at it in the Open Ultra League with my favourite Double Dark Poison backline. If you mix yourself a dark type with a poison type, it becomes a phenomenal defensive type in. You're only weak to ground. I've used this team with so many different leads. I've tried Swampert, I've tried Machamp, Hitmonchan, Hitmontop, Poliwrath and even Shadow Sneasler. Today we're trying out Annihilape. The idea of the team is we're going to use Drapion as the safe switch, hopefully draw out that ground type or steel type, clear the path with Annihilape, allowing Shadow Skuntank to sweep the back line. I managed to lose so many leads and win so many battles. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game 1, we see Pidgeot in the lead. This opponent's actually running Gust, which is far worse for us as Drapion offers very little fast move pressure, so we stay in, farm up, look to catch the obvious Feather Dance onto Drapion. Opponents always Feather Dance, especially into a fighter. Our Drapion safe switch is met by Giratina. Usually, this would be a very good matchup for Drapion, but Feather Dance comes with a 100% chance to lower our attack by 2 stages, and Crunch now is essentially doing nothing to the bulky meta Kingpin Giratina. Drapion was able to get the Crunch debuff on the first attempt. We fire off the second Crunch on the CMP type, but despite the debuff, after our Feather Dance, ironically 2-stage debuff in us is still not enough to knock out. However, we have put Giratina into a range where we can come in with Skuntank and get a very nice Poison Jab farm down. Dragon Claw won't be doing too much damage, and hopefully the opponent doesn't have something else with fast move pressure in the back. And holy crap, it looks like I might be losing battle number 1 with 2 Protect Shields. Out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. I fire off 7 Poison Jabs and the Crunch, which goes unshielded, and we pivot into Annihilape. I shield up the Flame Charge, back out comes Pidgeot, and it's time to start fishing for that boost. Ask and you shall receive. There is the boost. The algorithm was like, Jamie Finn, you're not winning this battle, but little did the algorithm know that I pray daily to them RNG gods, and we are popping off with that boost. Annihilape actually manages to get the double boost, counters down 2 flying types, and I'm able to take that game. In the next battle, we see Annihilape into Tentacruel. Both of us are hitting for resisted with our fast move. However, this Tentacruel is probably the world's smallest Tentacruel. I can actually smell the placenta on my screen. It is that small. It is fresh out of the womb. We fire off the Scold, pause a turn, fire off the Shadow Ball. If you play Annihilape into a Tentacruel lead, I'd highly recommend pausing a turn because they likely have Guzzlord and Greedent in the back. And if they catch a Shadow Ball, it's pretty brutal. We then catch the next Scold onto Drapion, and just like magic, I've called the opponent's team. Although in fairness, it's not that hard. Home Slice Henry posted this team a few seasons ago, and all the copycats are still running it today. Unfortunately, unable to reach the next Sludge Bomb. However, the Crunch still does some valuable chip damage, and as I'm very confident it's Greedent in the back, I'm just going to use Skuntank to absorb all of this energy. We send out Skuntank, the opponent brine throws the Crunch. We're just going to look to Poison Jab farm down, or if my switch timer pops up, I'm going to look to snipe it with Annihilape. Switch timer does pop up, I look for the snipe. The opponent not wanting to give me any extra energy, pivot back out into Tentacle. I farm up close to 100 energy, fire off the Night Slash goes unshielded, securing the knockout, and just like magic, there's the Greedent. Our Raging Monkey is absolutely loaded. I'm going to start spamming out these Night Slashes. We didn't get the boost the first time. Hopefully my prayers are answered with the second. Not that we need a boost to win this game, but ask again and you shall receive. We're 2 for 2, back-to-back battles getting the boost. The opponent fires off the Crunch. That simply does not get the job done. We only throw 4 counters this time, recognising the opponent is going to try and body slam me. The next Night Slash forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Mudshot doing very little fast move pressure. The opponent pivots back out into Guzzlord. Guzzlord gets farmed down. We reach the next Night Slash and the opponent concedes the match. GG's and thanks for playing. In the next battle, the tough leads continue. Dragonite in the lead. So if you're going to use Annihilape, you always want to look to fake it till you make it. So I throw 6 counters, looking to fake an Ice Punch. Not that I've got it, but of course the opponent does not know that, unless they're using that stupid Discord bot. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. Our fake is successful. We force a Protect Shield and send out Drapion. Switch takes 1 turn, so I could have actually outpaced this Dragonite by a single turn to the crunch, which would have knocked out. However, I see a lot of Dragonites paired with Tapu Fini, and if you're smart, a lot of trainers try and catch the crunch onto that fairy. We're running Sludge Bombs, I hold my energy, we manage to fire off the crunch, securing the knockout, and out comes Squidward. Squidward going to be greeted with the next crunch. I just love Drapion, it is so spammy. We get yet another debuff. I feel like this set, I got so much luck. And perhaps it's just the way the game works. A lot of people complain about the algorithm, etc. I went 1-14 on the final day of Summer Cup, trying to run Sharpedo. I thought I was smart. I thought I'm going to make some fun content, and I got absolutely wrecked. And I feel like today, the game's kind of saying, don't worry, buddy, you're going to get some luck. We fire off the Shadow Ball on the CMP side, securing the knockout. I pivot into Skuntank, and out comes Gator. The opponent really should top left. This is a clean win for Skuntank in the 1 shield. You can see we can easily tank an Hydro Cannon. The opponent's going to be unable to Shadow Claw farm me down. The opponent continued to play it out, so we're going to go for some bad manners. This is a prime example of how the double Dark Poison works. The opponent will send out their counter, and they usually don't have a second Dark Poison counter. As I said, the bad manners, of course, crunch would have easily been enough to knock out, but as the opponent is wasting my time, they can eat the BM Flamethrower to the face. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see the very annoying Fire Alligator or Crocodile. Still, I'm unsure what it is. If you know, post it down below. Not a great lead for us, as counters are double resisted. I pivot into Drapion. We're able to fire off the crunch. I've got no fast move pressure whatsoever into this thing, so I choose to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent then sends out Pyro. What the hell is this team? ABB Incinerate. Swampert, evidently a myth to this guy. However, we've got distracted. And don't let anything distract you from just how good Drapion is. It is so spammy. We're able to land a crunch, force a Protect Shield. We're obviously just going to send out Annihilape. Look to absorb all this energy, hoping Skuntank once again can sweep. We manage to get a massive counter farm down, back out, comes Skeledirge. We fire off 2 counters and the Night Slash. Night Slash does secure the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Scarada. Huge shout out to this opponent for a very cool, very spicy team. But again, with 1 Dark Poison counter out the way, Skuntank easily going to clean up. We don't need to shield anything. We're going to commit to the full Poison Jab farm down, and we're going to take that game. Heading into the next battle. These are straight battles. This is 5 straight games, a complete set, and you can see we didn't win a single lead. Tentacruel somewhat neutral. The others are all pretty dreadful again. We utilise the Drapion Say Switch. The opponent chips me, then send out Mandibars, a run-in Snarl. So this opponent clearly don't have a Dark Poison counter whatsoever. A Sludge Bomb Drapion does beat Mandibars. The opponent has chipped and dipped, hoping to keep alignment, but you can see these Sludge Bombs are no joke. The Drapion I'm using in today's video is actually a Hundo with dreadful PvP IVs. If you ever see me run Ultra League Aquatail Drapion, it's not the same one, that's a rank 1. But regardless, Aerial Ace is an absolute shit move. Despite me being quite low, it just doesn't get the job done. So we managed to obtain ourselves a shield advantage. We're going to send out Annihilape, look to absorb all this energy, and look to 2-shield Skuntank to victory. The opponent goes for the Dark Pulse, which hits for neutral. The second time they realise that was a potato play, throw the Aerial Ace. We're then going to farm up, bank a Shadow Ball, and snipe with Skuntank, getting a 1 Poison Jab running start, and out comes Cresselia. Once again, the ABB trap working perfectly. I'm going to fire off the first crunch immediately. It takes Cresselia 7-7 to the Moonblast. Tapu Fini did chip and dip, so they are energy dry. So there's no point really tanking that charge move. We just want to keep health. I'm then going to throw 7 Poison Jabs, throw the next crunch on the CMP side and see what the opponent wants to do. They invest that Protect Shield, and quite simply, we're going to go you shield, I shield. The opponent needs to pivot, or they're going to get farmed down. The opponent sends out Tapu Fini. As I don't really use Annihilape, as I don't really use anything other than Shadow Pokemon, I don't know if Shadow Ball will be lethal. So I'm going to fire off the crunch, guaranteeing that in Shadow Ball range, we go for the snipe with the Shadow Ball locked and loaded. We serve up that wham bam combo play, giving the opponent the Big Mac and the fries. Back out comes Cresselia. We reach the Night Slash, and Annihilape is not only a Tapu Fini counter confirmed, but a Cresselia 1-2. And we managed to somehow go 5-0 in the set, heading into some bonus battles. We see another tough lead. My god, must have I pissed someone off for these leads. We're going to pivot into what else other than Drapion. Shadow on Shadow Crime. This Hydro Cannon does a lot of damage, but of course the Shadow Claws are resisted. I'm going to fire off 4 Poison Stings. 1 quick move before the opponent reaches the next move. We manage to get the opponent quite low, and we get the defense drop. I'm looking at the health thinking, do 5 counters knock out? I'm hoping so. If we can counter farm down, we're going to go for that. It's an IV dependent CMP, so I'm not going to throw. If the opponent reaches the move, I just shield. Luckily for me, we do get the full counter farm down and leave with residual energy good to go. The opponent sends out the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. I very rarely bait, but Talonflame pretty much shield everything. The shitty bird shits its pants, invest that Protect Shield, and I pivot into Skuntank. Most Talonflame run Flame Charge and Fly. With that logic, I'm not going to shield the first move because it's going to be free 2-2 regardless if they go straight Fly or Flame Charge. Of course, if you've got any more than one Brain Cell, of course you'll throw the Flame Charge first, looking to vamp up your attack. We tank the Flame Charge, fire off the crunch, forcing the opponent's final protection. We can now send out 8, throw 2 counters and the Night Slash. From this range, Night Slash will be securing the knockout, and we really need something with little fast move pressure or we can nuke. The opponent sends out Trevenant. We reach the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to do big damage. Is it enough to knock out? No, it's not. It leaves the opponent incredibly low. However, our counters are double resisted. We don't farm down. The opponent Shadow Claw farms me down, and we take a heartbreaking loss. In the next battle, finally, we see a good lead. We are hitting for super effective. The opponent does have Psychic Fangs to hit us back for super effective. Steelix incredibly thick. Surely they don't shield the Shadow Ball. However, what do I know? The opponent does invest that Protect Shield. I look to catch the Psychic Fang onto Drapion unsuccessfully. The opponent farms up to a potential Earthquake as Breaking Swipe has been nerfed. I'm going to call the opponent does have Earthquake, which they do. I'm glad I shielded that. Not they would have knocked out, but would have left me quite low. The opponent then sends out Poliwrath. After trying to catch a crunch, I hold my energy. We land the first Sludge Bomb, fire off the second Sludge Bomb on the CMP. So I Sludge Bomb. Oof, isn't quite lethal. However, this is only an Icy Wind, so I'm hoping I can Poison Sting farm down afterwards. Drapion looking for the Poison Sting farm down. We actually get the Simul KO, and we're now in the guessing game. I always run Flamethrower coverage on my Skuntank, so of course we can cook that Steel Snake. However, ideally we want it aligned against whatever's in the back. We managed to guess right. The opponent sends out Glisserbot, hoping to counter my 8, but that's met with the Mighty Shadow Skuntank. The opponent chips me, then send out Steelix. This isn't even a bait. I don't care if the opponent shields or not. If they don't shield, we just counter farm down. The opponent chooses to invest that Protect Shield. So we bank another crunch, pivot into the 8. We know we tank a Psychic Fang. We're going to throw 1 counter and the Night Slash. Night Slash won't be lethal. We should be able to counter farm down, or we should put them into a range where we Poison Jab farm down. Again, we get the boost, which is quite unnecessary. The opponent sends back out Glisserpod. I should have thrown the crunch immediately, fishing for the defense drop, or at this point it really doesn't matter as I'm not going to Shadow Claw farm me down. I'll reach 2 moves, we land the crunch, Poison Jab farm down, and take that game. In the next battle we see another Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. I cannot believe how many leads I lost for this team. But undeterred, we save switch into Drapion. If you're going to save switch into a 2-turn move user against something using a 5-turn move, you always want to throw after 6, looking to get off the move first. Yes, you do give away 2 free turns, but if you go for 7, which is normally optimal, it would be alignments. If the opponent doesn't throw, they'd get a full 5 free turns of energy. In this moment, when I was playing this battle, I accidentally sent out Skuntank. Of course, I should have waited out my timer, but like a potato, I wasn't paying attention. We were chatting with my dog. Not that my dog can speak, I was just fussing her, tapping my screen accidentally, but luckily we get away with it. Out comes Venusaur. The opponent knows they survive a crunch. We look to cook them with the Flamethrower. The opponent fucked about. They found out. Get that Venusaur out of here. Again, the opponent's final Pokemon is Cresselia. We bank a boatload of energy and look to catch onto Annihilape. Was that catch necessary? In the words of Jorge Masvidal, shout out to anyone who watches UFC, super necessary. You've always got to give the opponent that 2-piece combo when you can. We fire off the Shadow Ball on the CMP tie, and that is pretty much all she wrote. The opponent takes me out with a Moonblast. Skuntank easily going to reach the double crunch. If the opponent shields the first, the second will be knocking out. The opponent recognises the game's over, let the move go, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see what else other than a lost lead. We see the instant pivot into Drapion. The opponent tries to make a catch, thinking, I'm going to spam the move in alignment, and no chance of that. The opponent sends out Poliwrath. We're able to fire off the Sludge Bomb with some very solid chip damage. The opponent debuffed me with an Icy Wind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to undercharge this Sludge Bomb. I'm then going to stop tapping my phone completely, recognising that Skeledirge matchup isn't all that bad if Annihilape has a huge energy lead. So we do stop tapping, leaving health on Poliwrath. Hopefully I can counter farm down before they reach a Scald. Unfortunately I can't, but Scald isn't going to do too much. Poliwrath, especially not as a shadow, isn't going to hit that hard in Ultra Lead. And the opponent actually sends out Jellicent. In the moment, I definitely should have thrown the move. However, what I was thinking to do was catch a Shadow Ball onto Skuntank. The opponent actually fire off a Surf, so I bank the Shadow Ball and send out Skuntank. This is now very tricky. Skuntank has an advantageous matchup against the entirety of the opponent's team, but both Pokemon are essentially at full health. Now I'm watching this back. The correct play would have been actually to throw the Night Slash. Not that Night Slash would have knocked out, but one Crunch also doesn't knock out Jellicent. So what that would have done is would have potentially forced a shield, has had the energy for a Shadow Ball, and also would have put him into crunch range. However, now I've put myself in a tricky spot, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I'm so washed up. The opponent pivots out into Skeledirge. We fire off 2 Poison Jabs and the crunch for optimal fast move timing. The opponent does have a charge move. I went for a CMP sack. Throw the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball isn't lethal. I've got no idea why this opponent isn't throwing. We are going to take him out with a crunch. However, I know how to count. The opponent's Gelatin is going to outpace me by a single turn. I think plays definitely could have been made better here. It is a tough team for my team. However, I definitely could have beat it. GG's to that opponent. I think it's important as a content creator to show your losses and actually explain why you lost. A lot of people will be like, oh, tough team. Yes, that was a tough team for me to beat. Even like the Trevenant matchup we lost earlier. However, both of them battles were definitely winnable if I would have made some better calls and some better plays. In the next battle, we see an absolute Spice Lord run in Shadow Kingdra in the Open Ultra League. You love to see it. We bait him with the Night Slash, recognising Shadow Ball would knock out. We obtain early shield advantage, pivot into Drapion to catch the Octazooka, drawing out Squidward. We land the first crunch, throw the second crunch on the CMP tie to a potential Scald. I'm sure you've noticed by now, I very rarely shield Drapion. I always look to 2-shield Skuntank. The opponent actually masturbates like a potato, killing a poor defenseless cat. That is such a bad bait. The opponent then even chooses to invest the Protect Shield, and the opponent has got themselves in absolute shambles. I send back out Annihilape. The opponent's deep in the red. I imagine Night Slash is going to knock out, but apparently it does not. I was going to 2-shield Skuntank. We get the boost, so of course it's mandatory to invest the Protect Shield. The opponent sends out Grand Ball. So evidently, I got very excited, invested a poor Protect Shield, but this is still GG's. Back out comes Kingdra. Kingdra going to be straight in and straight out. Crunch secures the knockout. We're going to be able to Poison Jab, farm down Grand Ball, and take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the final battle, which is a bonus battle. We've seen some pretty tough leads. Well, actually, most of the leads have been quite tough, but this is probably the best lead you could possibly ask for. We're able to tank the Night Slash, commit to the full counter farm down, and leave with so much energy. You'd imagine if you led Obstagoon, you're going to have a good 8 or counter answer in the back. Evidently, this opponent does not, as they send out Poliwrath. We fire off the Shadow Ball, which goes unshielded. We're then going to fire off the next Shadow Ball on the CMP tie to a potential Scald. I think that's an easy bait opportunity, but we YOLO the Shadow Ball regardless. Of course, I don't need to shield this, but fuck it. I thought in the time, let's see if Annihilape can solo an entire team. Unfortunately, I'm unable to counter farm down, so I'm going to throw the Night Slash on the CMP tie to the Icy Wind. Night Slash does secure the knockout, and they are triple weak to Ape. What a team. I look to make a catch for no reason whatsoever. The opponent hold their energy, but of course this is game over. Win con for the opponent is me having a heart attack, but as I'm shoutcasting these battles, evidently I did not. So this game is definitely over. While we see the opponent play out the inevitable, I'm going to tell you about something cool that's happening at 8 o'clock tonight. So if you're watching this video today, or when I uploaded it quite early, 8 PM in the UK on the 24th of June 2024, me and your boy Callum on Toast the GOAT will be doing 150 unique Pokemon in the Open Great League. Make sure you go check it out. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to the battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.